Hello again, welcome back to Football Spine, courtesy of our sponsors Renault, here on the new home of the brand new mirrorfootball.co.uk site. It's a big day for us here at Mirror Sport and a big day for Sebastian Bassong, who joined Spurs from Newcastle last night for up to £12 million. We should tell you though that he won't be able to play for the first two games of the new season because he's suspended. He won't care though as long as he's out of St James's Park. Another player expected to leave Newcastle is the defender Habib Beye. Now the papers are saying that Hull should snap him up over the next few days, but we at Spy can tell you that he's been at the Villa Park training ground today and that Aston Villa could yet pip Phil Brown to yet another player. Then there's fat Mark Viduka, okay, big-boned Mark Viduka. He's on Portsmouth's radar. He's on a free transfer, and the Fratton Park chief executive Peter Story says that they would be fools if they didn't have a look at him. You can insert your own punchline there. Just a quick question, actually, for all of you neutrals out there. You know I like to throw them out. Which club is in more of a mess, Portsmouth or Newcastle? Portsmouth following the blueprint for relegation. Newcastle already in the Championship and look likely to stay there. Now, as we're a bit late today, we've been able to update you on a few stories, and one of them involves this man. He's the Bayern Munich striker Luca Toni. He's 32, but he still very much knows where the goal is, which is why the West Ham boss Gianfranco Zola is trying to pull off a bit of a coup with a loan deal. Now, Luca Toni's agents actually said this week that the player is interested in working with Zola, but another club has emerged as a big contender, Spurs. Now, it's an open secret that although Harry Redknapp waxes lyrical about Roman Pavlyuchenko, he would listen to decent offers for the former Spartak Moscow striker, which is presumably why he fancies having a look at Luca Toni. Me personally, I don't think Toni would go to Spurs, as the whole reason he's looking for a move is because the likes of Mario Gomez from Stuttgart and Ivica Olic from Hamburg have arrived at Bayern, forcing him out. I think he wants to play football and not sit on the bench while Peter Crouch plays ahead of him. Some news that broke this morning for you from Switzerland, and it concerns you Arsenal fans. You've drawn Celtic in the fourth qualifying round for a place in the Champions League group stages. The first leg's on the 18th and 19th of August, and the second leg is a week later. It's a hard one for me to call, but I think Arsenal might just squeak it. What do you think? Just sticking with the Gunners, and Arsene Wenger's told the French paper L'Equipe this morning that he'll take a few days to think over whether he wants to go back in for the Bordeaux striker Marouane Chamakh. But the Bordeaux coach Laurent Blanc isn't convinced. He doesn't think Arsenal are actually interested. He says here, it's a question I ask myself and I believe no. Frankly, I believe that if they really wanted him, he could join them within 48 hours. Well, then you know your answer, Bordeaux. Drop your ridiculous £15 million asking price for a player that's out of contract next summer. He can talk to anyone else he wants from January. Now, Arsenal fans also, another bit of news for you, because Fran Merida, the young midfielder, is about to join Spanish second division side Levante on loan. He wants some regular first team football. Across London, the Times report that Chelsea have turned down a big bid of £18 million for central defender Alex. They must like him a lot. And yesterday I told you about the injury problems hitting Manchester United. Some of you quite rightly corrected me when I said that the young keeper Ben Foster might be out injured. He's fit again now. But Van der Sar's definitely out for 12 games. And now Nemanja Vidic is out for up to 2 weeks with a calf injury. He obviously won't play in the Champions League on Sunday against Chelsea, along with Gary Neville and Wes Brown. United fans, a bit of an injury crisis there. Are you concerned? Time for your messages, and some of you sending me Flickster messages and coded stuff which was struggling to open. If you want to send us stuff but you don't want to post it on YouTube or the blog, then email it to me and we'll definitely get it. Someone will pass it on to me. Manuel wants to know what's happening with the out of favour striker Claudio Pizarro at Chelsea. Well, he went to the German club Werder Bremen on loan last season and scored 28 goals, including 4 to help Bremen to the UEFA Cup final. They want him back in Germany, unsurprisingly, but Pizarro wants to stay here in England, and Chelsea offered him to AC Milan as a make-weight in the deal for Andrea Pirlo, but as you know, that fell through. So I reckon Bremen might well come back in for Pizarro. Andy Lucas wants to know what's happening with the Sporting Lisbon midfielder Miguel Veloso. Andy can't understand why City are in for yet another midfielder as they have so much quality in there. Well, to be fair to City, this is being generated by Veloso's agent, a guy called Paulo Barbosa. who's also saying that Bolton, Arsenal and Aston Villa are in for him. The thing that worries me is that Veloso's been touted around for quite some time now. No one has snapped him up, which leads me to believe that maybe he might not be quite the real deal. For base 7X, yes, I think Chamakh would be an excellent player for Arsenal. He's good in the air, very strong, got a good eye for goal. To tech Norgasm, I didn't really consider that Rafa Benitez could nick Chamakh off Arsenal for Liverpool, but now that you mention it, maybe that could happen. And finally to Eldestone, I wouldn't be too worried about Man City's poor pre-season defensively. I think things will change a lot once they get another top defender in. We're hearing here, however, that it might not necessarily be Joleon Lescott at Everton. We'll see what happens there. Before we move on, take a look at this.
The facts and stats, the fans and banter, famous pundits and the latest news, and one of the greatest football archives in the world. Mirrorfootball.co.uk.
Yes, we've got a new home. It's the mirrorfootball.co.uk website, and it is fantastic. We're on there on the MFTV channel, and once the transfer window closes, we'll have other shows to bring you, including a You the Manager show, where you can take on my fantasy football team. Phil Brown's got his megaphone out. If you remember, he couldn't sign a player for love nor money because every time he was in for one, he'd shut his mouth off about it. Now he has quietly completed deals for the 26-year-old Stoke midfielder Seyi Olifinyana and 19-year-old Villarreal striker Josie Altidore on a season-long loan. The only problem is that little Phil's started to get excited again, and he's talking about being desperate to get at least 2 more players in before the new season starts, with one of them being the Senegal striker Henri Camara. That's right, Phil. You tell the players you're after how desperate you are so that they can ride your backside like Zorro for as much money as they can. We're going to stick with news that's not in the... the producer's laughing. We're going to stick with news that's not in the morning papers for our early afternoon show and show you this man. He's the Marseille midfielder Mathieu Valbuena. Lots of reports coming out of France today that Arsenal and Aston Villa lead the chase for his signature. He's 24, and the word seems to be that Marseille would sell him for around £6 million. Dynamo Kiev want to take Andriy Shevchenko back to the club that made him a star. The young Chelsea striker Scott Sinclair has joined Wigan on loan. Good signing for them. And a few of you asking about Lucas Leiva at Liverpool. Yes, he does appear to be the latest player wanting to leave. He's 22. He came in from Gremio 2 years ago, but he started only 25 league games, and he's not a happy chappy. He now wants to go to the Brazilian club Corinthians. And reports in Spain say that Barcelona will turn to Manchester City's Vincent Kompany if they can't sign Johnny Evans from United. We told you all about that yesterday. The competition for the Frank Ribery's goes on. Some of you have given up, you think he won't move. Don't be so sure. There is still lots of time to go, and Chelsea still like him very much. So guess how much he'll go for. If you get it right and we pick you, then you will win the Total 90 Shoot 2 boots from Nike. There's more Renault Spy for you on Monday. Have a nice weekend. I'll see you then.